So, what if I told you that the laws of physics, the very rules that govern our universe, are actually a secret roadmap to understanding the spiritual world? It's a pretty wild thought, right? That everything isn't just random, but that the universe is built on these predictable, stable systems, and that those same systems have a perfect parallel in the spiritual realm. And this is the core idea we're going to unpack today. The idea that every physical law you can see, from an apple falling from a tree to a jumbo jet taking off, actually has a spiritual law hiding right behind it. It's like the natural world is a mirror, reflecting a deeper, unseen reality, almost like it's designed to teach us something. And that's exactly why this is such a game changer. Because if you can really get your head around the physical principles you see every single day, you can unlock this profound understanding of spiritual principles and see how they operate with that same consistency, that same predictability, not just random luck. All right, so let's start with a big one, a force that affects every single one of us every moment of the day. We're going to see how the inescapable law of gravity is actually a powerful parable for what the Bible calls sin. Think about it. You let go of a rock, what happens? It falls. Every single time. Gravity doesn't care if you're a good person or a bad person. It doesn't care if you wish really hard for the rock to float. It's totally impersonal. It's automatic. It's just a law woven into creation. It works. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Sin, which is basically just any action that goes against our original design, it works in the exact same way. See, it's not about God getting angry and deciding to punish someone. It's more like activating a spiritual law. An act of disobedience automatically and personally creates this downward pull on the soul, whether we get it or not. Just like gravity. This idea that sin has weight is just wow. It drives home that our choices have real, tangible consequences. Think about Adam in the garden. He felt shame and hid before God even showed up. He had broken a spiritual law, and the consequence, the weight of it, fell on him automatically. Just like gravity takes over the second something loses its support. So that raises a pretty important question, doesn't it? If we're all subject to this constant downward pull, is that it? Is that the end of the story? Is gravity the only game in town? Well, thankfully, no. There's another law, a counterforce. And that brings us to law number 2, the law of lift. And this gives us such an incredible picture of how grace, this divine intervention, really works in our lives. Okay, picture a massive airplane. It weighs tons, right? It's way heavier than air, yet it just soars through the sky. How? It's not magic. It's the law of lift. But here's the crucial part. Lift doesn't make gravity disappear. Oh no, gravity is still pulling that plane down with everything it's got. Lift is just a higher, more powerful law that overpowers gravity, allowing the plane to rise anyway. And boom, this is where the spiritual light bulb goes on. Notice the verse doesn't say the law of sin and death is just gone. It says we've been set free from it. How? By a higher, more powerful law, the law of the spirit of life. Grace doesn't pretend the downward pull of sin isn't real. It just overpowers it. So, think of it this way. Just like the law of lift makes it possible to fly, even with gravity pulling down, the law of grace makes a life of obedience and connection with God possible, even with the downward pull of our own nature. Grace and mercy are literally heaven's law of lift. They don't make sin harmless. They give us the power to rise above it. Okay, let's look at one more parallel. And this one is fascinating because it reveals the conditional nature of spiritual power. Let's talk about the law of electricity. We all get electricity, right? It's this immense, constant power, always available in the wires. But the outcome, whether it lights up your home or tragically ends a life, that depends entirely on how you interact with it. The power itself is neutral. It's our alignment with its principles that determines what happens next. And wouldn't you know it, the spiritual realm works in a stunningly similar way. God's power is constant, it's available, but the result in our lives, it all depends on our posture, our attitude. A heart of humility and obedience, it acts like a conductor for his power, but a heart of rebellion and pride, that's a short circuit. The very same law that brings blessing to the obedient is the one that exposes the disobedient. This is why Jesus was so adamant about having a childlike heart. It wasn't just some sweet, arbitrary rule. He was explaining a spiritual law. It's not about being childish. It's about having the humility and trust that are required to properly connect with and conduct the power of heaven. It's a condition of the system. So, when you put all of these pieces together, gravity, lift, electricity, what does it all tell us about living in alignment with God's design? Well, the huge takeaway is this: spiritual outcomes are not mysterious. They're not random. They are lawful. And this is a really profound idea to just sit with for a second. God is not random. He operates according to his own character, which is predictable, consistent, and lawful. I mean, if the entire physical universe runs on dependable laws, why on earth would he think the spiritual universe is just some big cosmic lottery? It's not. And you see this cause and effect everywhere once you start looking for it. Mercy always lifts. Sin always drags. Faith opens things up. Doubt shuts them down. Obedience clears the air between you and God. Betrayal just clutters everything. These aren't just nice little sayings. They're spiritual principles as real and as predictable as gravity itself. And here's what this all means for you. It means you are not a victim of some unknowable mystery. You don't have to go through life just wondering why things are happening to you. No, you are an active participant in a set of divine systems. And once you start to understand those systems, you get real agency in your spiritual life. And this is the invitation. This is the path forward. It's simple, really. First, you get curious. You learn his ways. Then, you seek to understand his laws, the spiritual physics we've been talking about. And as you understand them, you can start to participate in his systems on purpose. And the result, the beautiful result, is that you begin to rise above the very things that were designed to pull you down. So let me just leave you with this final thought. Once you start to see these patterns, you realize that nothing in the spiritual life is really an accident. You never fall by accident, and you absolutely never rise by luck. It all comes down to which law you choose to partner with. The law of sin that always pulls down, or the law of the Spirit that's always ready to lift you up.